Okay, so now for Libra, the full moon is in the seventh house.
Relationships.
Relationships or travel to foreign countries. So,
Right.
or it could be both. But relationships. So this is really going to bring some kind of pleasant thing for your relationship. But perhaps the two of you have been working towards something for a while, or maybe you've been going through things, with Rahu maybe aspecting the ascendant. And so this is a time for you to just relax and enjoy each other. Though, it being in Aries, it's going to have a lot of energy flowing, like Neeshee was saying. So talking, a good conversation. And particularly about relationship things. And since Mars too is involved here and aspecting Libra rising as well. So yeah, that puts even more emphasis on relationship. And then we've got both Jupiter and Venus aspecting the seventh house. Wow. So if you're single, do not stay at home. If you want to meet somebody, go somewhere, be around people, have a good time. And that will be very attractive. You want to say something about that too, Neeshee?
I think for these Venus-ruled ascendants, this is a particularly nourishing full moon. So I really get a good feeling at what I'm looking at for them.
Yeah.
They're an air sign, and Libra's an air sign, so air signs are about connecting. It's sociable. In its healthy side, it's very much enthusiastic and outgoing. So this is a good time to engage that, I find, with what you're saying, and full moon being in Aries, that fire element is there. So they have a bit of a metabolism for this in the moment that they should capitalize on.
Absolutely. And look, the ascendant lord is in the house of close friends and family. Mm-hmm. So if you're single and your family and your friends have been wanting to set you up, let them. Why not? You have nothing to lose. It'll be fun. Because normally people really resist that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a great time for that to actually turn out well. And if you don't meet the love of your life, you could still make a really good friend who could later lead you to the love of your life. So, and for people who are already in relationship, well, again, same thing that Neeshee said, get together. And you can have other people involved too. It would be fun. So yeah, this is really nice for Libra rising.
It's very nice for Libra rising, and especially given that they're the ones with Sun in the first house debilitated right now. They're getting this nice full moon that has a lot of solar energy because it's in a fire sign. So that's really balancing for them. It's balancing in general for people who have a lot of air element or Vata types. Vata is balanced by heat. So this kind of activating, fiery, metabolizing energy of this full moon is quite balancing for the Libra person.
That's really interesting to hear. I didn't know that about Vata and Pitta energy. Okay, so now Scorpio. So for Scorpio, it's in the sixth house. The full moon is in the sixth house for Scorpio. Let me see. So Scorpio rising, you have Jupiter, one of the manifesting planets, right in your first house. So there is some emphasis on the self. And the moon, the full moon, is also aspecting the ascendant. So you've got Moon, Jupiter, Venus, all of these nice energies here influencing the first house of the self and the body. And a nice dignified Saturn aspecting it too. And a dignified Saturn gives good results. So what would you want to say about this, Neeshee?
Well, I would want to say that this is in the sixth house for Scorpio rising, right?
Yes.
So this is the full moon that has the most to do with health. So the health implications of it are the strongest for Scorpio rising people. simply because of the sixth house connotation. So I think it's great, actually, because they already have Jupiter in their first house. They have, the moon is in opposition to their first house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in a Mars, they're already a Mars-ruled sign, and moon is in a Mars-ruled sign, so there's shared lordship. I think it's very much a harmonious energy for them.
Yeah, they can make a lot of progress in their health issues right now.
They could also see the emergence of hidden health issues or imbalances or symptoms or subtle things that they've been suppressing, whether that's through the use of medications or unconsciousness or whatever, anything that's been suppressed or pushed down. The full moon's always going to bring that out in general. But especially with the sixth house placement and these aspects, for the Scorpio rising, they may very well experience a re-emergence of a hidden imbalance. But hidden imbalances that come to the surface aren't necessarily to be viewed as a form of the plague. They're simply the purification of that which has been buried. So we don't want things to be buried, because the more we bury things, the more they wreak havoc in vital areas, in more and more vital areas. So the full moon is a great opportunity for that to be purified. So it's coming to the surface is not necessarily a problem, but it should be recognized and allowed so that it can finally make its exit.
Oh, that's a great way to look at that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so that's your focus, is the sixth house for Scorpio rising.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Okay. Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, it's in the fifth house.
Awesome.
Full moon is in the fifth house. And let me see. And all the same aspects apply, of course, that we've been talking about for everyone else. And the fifth house is creativity. It's a house of the mind. It's children. It's rewards from your work. So would you like to talk about that, Neeshee?
Well, this has a lot of manifesting strength for the Sagittarius rising because of the moon being in the fifth house. Full moon in fifth house in a fire sign. Sagittarius people are fire element ruled because Sagittarius is a fire sign. And the fifth house is about manifesting our creative inspirations, giving birth to that creative life energy that's moving through us. So I see is that for Sagittarius people, this has a lot of power to bring into being that creative energy, that creativity, that inspiration that they've been churning on.
There you go. That's the fifth house is one of the best houses in the chart. So having a full moon there, and by the way, the full moon is full in a sign only once a year, most of the time. So this won't come around again until for another year. So this is why the full moon is so important, is when you know what house it's focusing on and what issues it brings up for you. This is the best time of the whole year to attend to these things. Okay, so Capricorn rising, that would be me. Yeah, and the full moon's in the fourth. So what a great place for it. The moon loves to be in the fourth house.
That's right.
So this is a good thing. I'm going to be looking forward to this next Tuesday.
Stay at home.
I will be at home for sure, yeah. And this is aspected by Mars. We moved into this place about 4 years ago, and we've been so busy we haven't done much with it. Certainly none of the things that we really want to do. So we might maybe do a little bit on that day, just to make the house a bit more comfortable and pleasurable. Maybe the bedroom or the living room, wherever it is we spend time that is rejuvenating. So this would be, of course, for all Capricorn rising people. So from an Ayurveda point of view, with Saturn there in the ascendant, and then the moon there in fire. What do you have to say about that? That's would be interesting to hear about.
Well, I would see it as a time of refreshment for them because Saturn has been on the ascendant, which is a tough influence for these Capricorn people. Even though Saturn is strong in its sign of Capricorn, it's still Saturn in the first house. That's just what it is, right? That can be a tough time where a lot of energy is getting suppressed and limited, and there's delays and obstructions and challenges, all of those things that happen when the flow of life energy is limited or narrowed. So they've been dealing with that. Here comes this nice full moon in Aries in the 4th house. This is a time when they can be nourished and refreshed and regenerated by their environment.
Yeah. And I also noticed too that Jupiter and Venus is aspecting the ascendant for Capricorn, as well as Rahu.
Right.
So, and also Saturn there in the 1st house makes you really aware of time and how much time you have and how much time you don't have. So you get very good at managing your time. And the thing that Capricorn rising has to remember is that they don't have to be working all the time. In fact, work goes better if they do take the time to rest and relax and rejuvenate. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I do know that a lot of other Capricorn rising people with Saturn there's that sense of urgency, you know. It's like I've got so much to do and only a certain amount of time to get it done in. If I relax too much, then I'm missing something important. But as a Ayurveda practitioner and medical astrologer, I'm sure you could say a few things about the importance of the balance between rest and relaxation and work and exertion.
That's right. And that's important to understand because the moon and Saturn are enemies, right? And one of the reasons that they are enemies is because Saturn has this awareness of time. It has this awareness of mortality and impermanence and the limitation of that circumstance. Whereas the moon is not really here to concern itself with those things. It's simply here to be.
Yeah.
So that's why the moon loves the 4th house. The 4th house, the environment, the home, security in oneself and environment is really about simply being in a place, being with one's surroundings. Ultimately, our surroundings extend beyond the walls of our home to, really the entire cosmos, if you want to look at it that way. It's about learning to feel at home in life, right? So that's really important for a Capricorn person. It's really important for a Capricorn person who has Saturn in the 1st house. They need to be able to make that connection because this is the time when they're feeling more and more separated from those types of things. Who can feel at home in an impermanent world, right? That's Saturn.
Right.
And it's true on one level. That is true. But thankfully, there's this aspect from Jupiter, which is seeing the world more as this creative affair, right? And the moon here is helping them say, look, you can be regenerated by sinking into your environment. So this full moon is giving them a chance to adapt at a new level to their environment and thereby to feel connected again with life and with the flow of life energy, which has been a difficult affair for them with this Saturn in the 1st house, Rahu opposition. It's not been an easy time. So
this is true. And the moon is also the 7th house lord. So if you can do this with a partner, that would be even better.
Exactly.
So, because you remember, what are you working so hard for? It's not just for yourself, that's for sure. So, yeah, that was really good, Neeshee. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so now Aquarius. Aquarius. Wow. So for Aquarius, the full moon is 3rd.
Okay.
And it's aspected by the full moon as well, with the Jaimini Rasi sign aspect. So the full moon is on the 1st house for Aquarius rising.
And there's that K2 moon aspect going on. So this is another Saturn-ruled sign, so some similar things apply, although instead of Saturn being in the first house, they have Mars and Ketu in the first house, which is a difficult conjunction. So...
It's extra fire.
Extra fire. There's a lot of fire going on for Aquarius people. The fiery element of the full moon is not the most balancing for them in this regard. But I think the way that I'm seeing this moon being useful to them is through Moon K2, which is really good for meditation, contemplation, spiritual insights. It's that kind of an energy that needs to be used.
Yes, and the moon is aspect 2 by Jupiter and Venus too, so it helps the moon not be quite as fiery. It brings more cooling energy to it.
That's right.
Right? And then the third house is involved in learning new skills and understanding complicated things in a way that can be applied to your everyday life. So the full moon there is going to help you with that. It's going to help you to perhaps get some insights into how to take some of the knowledge that you have and apply it practically in your life. The third house is also siblings and teammates. So it could be a good time that you have with siblings or co-worker, teammates kind of people, where you get together and you talk about things. It could be a really good conversation, a conversation that furthers the development of your skills, whatever they are. And some reward, too, from what you've been working on so far in the development of your skills. You can kind of enjoy the sense of accomplishment that comes with skill, and being skilled at something.
I'm also seeing that it's really for Leo rising and Aquarius rising that the full moon takes on more of a psychological significance than the other signs, simply because Leo rising and Aquarius rising have one of the nodes in their first house. There's a lot going on for them and has been going on for them around self-development, facing the unconscious. All of that level of things has been happening for them. Now Mars is joining with K2 and it's the ruler of this moon and so on, and it's a full moon, third house, like you were saying. Right. So I think they could learn a lot about themselves when they learn something new. They might also have this unique ability to see the hidden nature of how something works and learn a skill from that angle.
Right. Yeah, and you know what I'm noticing too is that the full moon is aspecting the 7th house for Aquarius, right, and 10th. So these are angular houses. So like the angles are all really lit up here for Leo and Aquarius, especially Aquarius because the full moon's aspecting the 10th house too. So that's, you know, your sphere of influence and responsibility, which is usually a job or a career, business kind of thing. And then, of course, the 7th house is partners. And with Rahu there, well, then the emphasis is more on the partner right now than it is on you. Because when Ketu's in the ascendant, this means you can kind of, in some ways, you get to rest. Things are not so much about you. It's more about your partner. And you can be a support to your partner, a really good support to your partner. And with Mars there, you can actually do some, you know, like fix-it type things for your partner. Because Mars wants to fix things, improve things, and kill evils. And so with it, Mars there, you know, you can do that. For your partner. It's a relief in many ways to not have to focus quite so much on yourself and on your path. So enjoy it while it lasts. Because when it passes, then you're going to be back to, you know, the Aquarius thing, which is individualizing and spending time thinking about what that means. You have anything to say about that, Neeshee?
Well, I'm reflecting on the nature of the lunar nodes and the fact that they're lunar nodes. So I think any time that there's a full moon for these people, Leo and Aquarius rising, who have one of the nodes in their first house, the full moon is just going to amplify the nature of that. So, because the nodes aren't really anything without the moon. That's what they are. They're nodes of the moon. So we can't forget that.
Right.
So for them, I would almost say they should treat the full moon as something like an eclipse, in the sense that they should observe a lot of the similar type of austerities that are recommended for an eclipse, like lightening the diet and introspecting and meditating and studying scripture, staying inside, and it being more internalized, in other words, for them.
Oh, I like that idea.
Not that they also shouldn't learn new skills and so forth, given the house placements. It's just that I'm seeing it as the means by which those things end up happening for them and being realized is through an inner process.
Right, an inner process. Yeah, and K2 is really emphasizing that, because K2 is strongly spiritualizing influence and introverting influence. So there may be times where you feel like you are from a different planet, like you don't really belong here. But that's just to help that observer part of your mind to develop further and to develop more healthy detachment from your personality. So, good stuff. Now finally, Pisces. For Pisces, the moon is in the most important house. When the full moon is in the second house, this is the critical house for the full moon. For the full moon. So, and it's about getting your personal needs met. And the second house is about getting your personal needs met. And this is where you can see very clearly whether or not you are getting your personal needs, emotional needs met. And if you're not, what you can do to get more of your personal needs met in healthy ways. So, yeah, you want to take it from here, Neeshee?
Well, I think you're right. It's a great placement for Pisces people. They have their Lagna Lord aspecting. They have, that's really the main thing I'm seeing that's significant for them, really. And the second house connotation of the full moon is excellent. So they should be particularly attentive to getting their needs met. It's going to be more, it's still going to have that intensity of Aries.
Yeah.
There might be a lot of passion around the feeling of what their needs are, but they should feel the courage to have those needs met.
Yeah.
Because Aries is very much about going and getting your needs met. It doesn't really think about it too much. It's just in tune with that passion, and it's the realization of that passion.
That's true. It's also the second house of the voice. So that means speaking up and asking for what you need, instead of perhaps hoping that people around you will notice what you need and give it to you. So this is the time to speak up and ask for it.
And you can get it, right? Because full moon is in the second house. So, Pisces people being more sensitive types, I think it's interesting to be confronted with a little bit of this fiery moon energy. And it's asking for them to get in touch with a certain level of boldness inside of them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I like that. Yeah, and Mars too being in the 12th for Pisces, people around you may feel like you're angry when you're actually not angry, at least not consciously angry. So you can ask for what you want, but just try to ask for what you want in a way that doesn't imply that the person you're asking has been wrong and not giving it to you up until now, because nobody's a mind reader, right? Even people really close to you can misread you very easily, especially Pisces people. So, because they're kind of mysterious, you know, they're not that easy to understand all the time. Yeah, so I've just noticed this, that when people have Mars in the 12th, either by transit or natally, that other people can feel anger from them, even if they're not intending that. And so Mars is also aspecting the moon. So you just want to be a little careful. Now, luckily, Venus, the planet of diplomacy, is also aspecting the moon too, and helping you to be sensitive to how you're saying what you're asking for. But the full moon gives, so you're going to get what you want, basically. I would say that's what that means.
I would agree.
It's kind of like a reward, you know, like all the things you've been working for throughout the year. Now finally, it's in the second house, which happens only once a year. There should be some kind of good result here for you. So that's all the signs. Now that was interesting to me. I like doing it talking about it from that perspective, like bringing in the elements and the Ayurveda and the Tibetan stuff. And I really appreciate you doing this with me, Neeshee.
Sure. No, I'm really glad for the opportunity.
Yeah, okay, good. So again, if people want to contact you, tell us again what your website is and your Facebook.
Website is AtmaAstrology, AtmaAstrology.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Neeshee.
Okay.
That's where I can be found.
And you're available for readings, for regular astrology readings, but also Ayurveda. And could you describe that a little bit? How do you do your Ayurveda consultations?
Well, at this point, what I basically do is I offer the usual astrology readings, but I also offer medical readings. So within my medical readings, I'm basically drawing upon all of the different systems that I've studied and channeling it all through the context of looking at someone's chart, also understanding their symptoms, their issues, any complaints that they have, and basically assessing them with all the tools available to me through a video conference, and making recommendations relative to diet, lifestyle, herbal therapies, psychological counseling, all levels of it, depending on what the person really needs, where their imbalance really is. There's different levels of it. So
I'm curious, do you ever use prashna as part of that?
I haven't been, but you very well could.
Okay. So that means if I do a medical horary for someone, and I think that there's more that they can learn, I could send them to you.
You could.
And that's because even though I'm using the traditional Western model, it's still based on the elements, just like Ayurveda and the Tibetan medicine.
Exactly. The elements are the foundation.
It's the foundation. It's all very, very similar and supportive of each other. So, well, thank you so much. And we'll do this again next month, which is the next full moon will be the full moon in Taurus on October 24th. So we'll try to do that a little bit ahead of time for people. There's only 3 full moons left in the year.
Okay.
Sound good?
Wonderful.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Neeshee.
Thanks again for having me, Karen.
I'm going to stop the sharing thing right now. And then, yes, so I will see you next month.